Alrighty, let's get into this. Everything sound good? Let's get right on into this. What's going on in the markets today? Pound is down a lot. Swissy is doing really well. Yen is doing really well, except against the Swissy. Dollar seems pretty mixed. It's not doing well against the yen or the Swissy. It's doing okay against pound New Zealand CAD, especially against the pound, because that seems to be the biggest loser today. Yeah, this heat map does not look as crazy as it did last Thursday and Friday, that's for sure. Looks a bit more normal. Okay. Let's check out the rest of this. Anything else to note? Aussie seems to be doing alright. Again, not against Swissy and yen. So let's go ahead and check out the Swissy and the yen pairs real quick. So far, so good. Oh, the yield spreads are turning a bit more positive there on the daily range for dollar yen. Wow, that is a nice bump up. Let's turn that off so we can see the candle color. Euro yen doing great. CAD yen doing great. So against the yen, most of these currencies doing okay on the day. But man, did a lot of these currencies take a hit. And then we can check out dollar Swissy. Yeah, not holding up so well. And then Euro Swissy. Yeah, it gapped down. Yikes. But it's moving higher. It's moving up. Rate cut odds for... Let's go ahead and turn that down just a tad. Rate cut odds for the ECB went up, so now we're expecting 4 rate cuts. Let's go ahead and check out the equity indices. Looks kind of the same as those FX pairs we've been checking out today. Yeah, all the equities look pretty similar here. Gaps lower with a bit of recovery coming in. Now, all day today and all weekend long, there's been so many debates and people holding extremely strong opinions. And by strong opinions, I mean antagonistic opinions. Like, oh, if you disagree with me, then you're not a good of a person or not as smart of a person as I am. There's a lot of elitism going on with people trying to talk and rationalize their point of view on tariffs, on economics. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show what my impressions are. And to start it off, if you haven't watched Alpha Investments' latest video, I put it in the Discord chat. This video is so good. So good. Highly recommend watching this particular video. Yes, to me, it's time to invest. And then I saw, oh, Mark Meldrum posted a video. Let me go ahead and listen to him. And I just listened to the whole thing, and I kind of feel disappointed. I feel very, very disappointed with his analysis and his commentary. And it seems like the point of view Mark is coming from is similar to this guy, Bruce Bueno de Acuesta. He wrote a couple of books. He's very famous for doing some pretty accurate political forecasts. And he's known as a game theorist, generally. So yeah, this guy lines up more with what Mark is saying, but I'm not too sure this guy totally gets what's going on in the US, because this guy was very, very, very pretty anti-Trump, from what I understand, for many, many, many years. And then this keeps getting shared to me for the R's in the back. Now, if you haven't seen this one, you can go ahead and pause and read this. It's been shared pretty much everywhere online at this point. So take your time, go ahead and read it. I'm pretty much in line with this view, mostly. I'm not 100% certain this is the way it's going to work out, but generally speaking, this was posted on March 11th. That's the timestamp for this. And now we have effectively all the things going on with the stock market crashing. Let's see here. March 11th. That's right here. We're down 16% from the time that was posted. And it says, yeah, we need to make the stock market crash at least 20% to cause a flight in the treasuries. And then you go and you check out treasuries and the change in yields. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. And then there was this whole... Can I just get this thing to refresh here? And then this is an analysis pretty much that echoes what's in here on Fox. The mainstream media is pretty much saying, yeah, hey, check out. Treasury yields have fallen because treasuries have risen. That translates into about $30 billion in savings, which was the theory laid out here. So keeping yields low is not just sound policy, it's a fiscal necessity. And apparently Trump has wanted to get Powell to start cutting more. Powell is probably going to wait until the next two inflation prints actually come out, which I think is actually a smart move, to wait for the next two inflation prints to actually see if there's inflation getting passed on to the US consumer right away here. And if not, then the odds of maybe a 50 basis point rate cut are going to start getting priced in a lot more strongly. And then you have this sort of stuff, which is commentary on this bit of analysis. Alex Kaplan. Some of the online riot are spreading around a post from some far right 4chan poll. It's like, seriously, you're online and you don't know what 4chan is. Like, seriously. Effectively calling it a conspiracy theory, right? And then like censoring it. And then this morning, Brent Donnelly, I have a signed copy of his book, Alpha Trader, here. He goes ahead and he shares this wonderful little chart. Impact of Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Now, this is the tariffs everyone is referring to back during the Depression. So this is the enactment of all the tariffs, of the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, all around here. Smoot and Hawley lose their seats, and then Reciprocal Tariffs Act gets enacted. And then, U.S. equities are off to the races. Let's read the comments here. Let's go ahead and give this one a refresh. Looking forward to MAGA people saying correlation is not causation. What is the likelihood of the current tariffs being enacted in your view? Not only that, but the likelihood that these tariffs stay at these levels, again, tariffs are expected currently to be a ceiling unless other countries reciprocate and try and counter tariff. So either come to the table, negotiate these tariffs lower by reducing the non-tariff barriers, or be willing to pay stronger tariffs. So let's go ahead, go down the watch list here. Let's check out things on a 15. Aussie's doing well. New Zealand's doing well. Pound is doing well. Euro's not doing so hot. Sucks for me, but I actually did pretty good the last few days. I'm quite happy. And then New Zealand dollar, that cross is doing well for the Aussie. Euro CAD, that one's falling. Dollar Swissy is going up. So dollar is pretty much strong going here over the last, pretty much since the London Open. Dollar has been doing pretty well. Pretty well. Let's go ahead and check out the pre-market here. Yeah, we gapped down. ARK, how about NVIDIA? NVIDIA gapped down, but it looks like it's recovered quite a bit here. It's gapped down 6%. And from the low, it's up 5%. So yeah. That looks like a much healthier... I mean, that's... After a gap down, it's the first... What is it? Pre-market session where we've had some bullishness come in. We'll see if that goes in throughout the rest of the day. But man, Apple got hit super hard. Chevron too. Yeah, Chevron got hit really hard. -8%. Wow. Discover also hit pretty damn hard. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and check out Bitcoin. So this is Coinbase. Sheesh, Coinbase got hit 11%. Wow. Let's go ahead and check out crypto. Bitcoin's doing all right. It kind of bounced off 75K. We'll see if that ends up holding. Seems like it's gonna do okay for me. Again, I'm long term. I'm not a bear on Bitcoin. I'm not a bear on US equities. I'm not a bear on any of these risk on assets. Really. If negotiations start developing and there's announcements, deal after deal actually getting made, of tariffs getting reduced, well, guess what? That'll spur back. Oh, guess what? Now US companies, they can go ahead and sell stuff into businesses. They can sell their stuff into markets that the US didn't have access before Trump did these negotiations. Because that's effectively the point. To remove these non-tariff barriers. And to have reciprocal tariffs. So the reciprocal tariffs and an actual even playing field of markets. So I'm sure over time there'll probably be room for more rational trade policy, but right now it's a matter of get everyone in line. Get everyone to actually let the US bring back its manufacturing, because when you bring back all that manufacturing, but then you have all these prohibitions on actually being able to sell your stuff, or all these really, really high watermarks to actually getting your stuff sold in these other countries that are non-tariff related, well, guess what? It doesn't matter if you bring in all those manufacturers. If it's like 200% tariff, or you have all these non-tariff policies that make it unprofitable. So on top of bringing the manufacturing back to the US, there's all these other things that have to be done, which is why Trump's going really, really hard right now to get these guys, these other countries, to change their policy. And as someone in the US, I really like it. It sucks to see why, people who were so pro-war Russia, or are so afraid of the US losing its dominance, either militarily or economically, aren't saying, oh, wow, this is actually a nice U-turn for the United States. Again, don't get me wrong, stock market's down a lot, but is this going to cause a recession? In my opinion, I don't think so. I don't think this is going to cause a recession. We haven't had enough data or information. This has effectively, so far, purely just been the market changing their expectations and getting position and changing their position. Exiting a bunch of investments. That's it. We could be going into a cycle where, as far as factor investing goes, you see value do really, really well as a factor going forward from here. So we'll see how that turns out. Maybe I'll go ahead and pull up a factor ETF for value. Let's go ahead and check out commodities. How are commodities holding up today? Not so great. Oil's at $60. So cheap, man. It's so cheap. Gold pulled back quite a bit recently, but seems to be holding on fine. Let's see. Natural gas. Oh, natural gas is falling. I also saw that it's expected that inflation in Europe is also expected to come in a bit lower because nat gas has been falling in price. This is one of the things that I heard. Maybe it's a contributing factor to lower European inflation, but I don't know if it'll be the main factor. This is a nice trend of lower prices, right? So it just depends on how contributing of a factor it's going to be is my main concern. I am kind of curious. Let's check out the euro. Probably, maybe it's time for me to hop out. I mean, I do want to just stick this one out here because these yield spreads on the euro are looking pretty good. Not as great as yesterday's, but these are still like net super positive. I did some day trading and I did quite well on my day trades today. 2 out of 3. And the loser was only like 11 pips. So I'm very happy. But I want to try and catch a trend, right? I want to catch this move up that I'm expecting in the euro dollar. I'm expecting to go much higher. I'm expecting these yield spreads to continue to stay positive going forward. So we'll see. Again, it's not... These short-term yield spreads aren't looking so positive. Right around here, at this first short, we had news coming out saying, oh, the ECB rate cut odds just increased. So now there's 4 rate cuts expected. And that's why these yield spreads started to go pretty darn bad. Man, imagine if I just held that instead. That would have been nice, clean, 60 some odd pips. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I mean, I can keep looking at it any way I want, but I'm just gonna hop out of this thing now. Took a long for double bottom on EU 5 minute. Hey. Who knows? Maybe it'll end up reversing soon enough. I don't want to keep holding it, right? 20... It already broke a lower low. You can see it's falling a bit faster. It's already fallen 11 pips just in the last 15 minutes, so... Hey, I'm glad I hopped out. I saved myself for this extra drawdown here. So yeah, I'll be looking for these yield spreads short term to look a bit more green like over here. One thing I can do is actually play this, I think, a little bit.
You are not doing it right. Level 5. This is the moment that's going to pretty much create another wave of wealth transfer.
Yep.
The people who are patient, the people who are seeing discounts, the people who are seeing, wow, some of those energy companies. Wow,
Oh,
some
yeah.
of those tech stocks. Wow, look at all these companies. Wow,
On
they are
discount.
5, 10, 15, 20, 30% off the high. Like,
Exactly. I mean, seriously. This is... It depends on your expectations for a recession. Like, does this alone lead to a recession? I think that's what Meldrum was saying, actually. Like, oh, you know, everyone has exposure to equities. And I'm like, you know, sure, but how many people are trading their 401k, man? Of the people who are forced to invest or have these 401k, how many of them literally don't look at it until they retire? It's most of them. They're not touching it. They're buy and hold, like, and that's it.
don't you guys get excited
Oh, you're
when you
not
go to the
late, my
grocery
man.
store and
You
like your
caught the beginning
favorite
of the stream.
frozen chocolate hard popsicle is half price? Don't you get excited when it's a BOGO or half price? So what? When it comes to investing for your future, if it's on discount, what do you do? I mean, do you just fucking Velociraptor? Yeah. I mean,
Yes, the fuck. Dude, Rudy's hilarious, man. Rudy's hilarious. I got the video to this in the general chat. Oh, and Big, yeah, I just got your message about Starlink. Glad to see you got Starlink working, my man. But yeah, very disappointed with Meldrum's latest analysis. It's very much like Bruce. Now, Bruce has a lot of good stuff to say, and it's a good framework, but it's... I wouldn't say it's a framework to live by. Yeah. That's pretty much everything I wanted to point out. I don't have much else to add there. Oh, those yield spreads are starting to look a bit more positive. Well, okay. We are back in. At what price? I saved myself a bit of drawdown there, so okay. This is actually the low, I'll be fine, but well, that's what I get for being a discretionary trader, right? Oh wow, that spread. Yeah, I just got killed on that spread. I was looking at the price down here. Damn. Damn, yeah, I got killed on that spread. That sucks. Alright. I'll go ahead and keep looking at that on my phone, and we'll go ahead and check out some other assets. So that kind of sucks, but... you know, after... You know, after I go ahead and I capture this for... It was 64, and then I captured this for 20, lost this for 10, and lost that for 20. Let's see, that's net 50, right? That's net 50. So 50 for a day is pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong, less trading would have been... Okay, we are back. It wouldn't be a daily plan stream without a stream crash, now would it? No, it certainly would not. Oh man. All right, let's get the music back up. Let's double check that everything's all good. All right, everything looks sweet. Okay. Back in action. What we were looking at? What were we looking at? Oh, hey, the trades and profit. Nice. Again, I wish I got in where I wanted to, closer to that bottom of the wick, but you can't win them all, right? I just lost these last two. I was 2 for 3 here. Then I was 2 for 4 here. Let's make it 3 out of 4. Let's make it 3 out of 4 today. Yeah, Harold. Stream died for a sec. Oh, yeah, that's right. I also have to add the chat back in. Let's go ahead and activate that. All right. You should now be able to see the chat again. Yo. All right. We got the stream rocking and rolling. Now is a good time. If you got charts for me to check out, now would be a good time. I'm going to check out some crypto here. And by the way, you won't see me bring up the ranges for a lot of these assets right now because we're just trading in the tails of the ranges for most of these assets. You pretty much can't really interpret these things. Like, look how far we are, man. These are huge moves. Maybe we can check them out on the month. Oh man, not even on the month. These are huge moves, man. Oh, check that out. There's a peak on Bitcoin, though. Yeah, check that out. There's a peak in the low distribution right there on Bitcoin. Maybe 75 was the low? Maybe. I sure wouldn't mind if that was the low for Bitcoin. Yields flip, I guess. Oh, where's take profit? Oh, I'm just watching it. I'm just watching it. And yeah, if you're referencing like when the yields flip as the take profit spot, sure. That's something I've done literally all day today, right? But understand that these drawings are just drawings, right? Maybe I wish there was a way I could remark these somehow as, oh, this one won, this one lost. Maybe we can set up a style. Like we can do, just set it to green and green if it was a winner in retrospect. So save as winner. All right, and then that one. Yeah, then we also have to do it for short positions too, right? Well, that's going to be confusing if we set them to green and red. Because then how do you differentiate the long? Well, you can differentiate the longs with the midline there. Okay, we can do that. Style. We can set that to red. Okay, that works. And then set that to green and green. And then save as winner. And then this was a long trade that lost, so we'll set that to red and red. And then this midline's got to be green. Save as loser. And then this is the same thing. So long, both these lost. That was a short. We can ramp up that transparency. Save as. Winner. There we go. Oh, it didn't overwrite it. There we go. Okay, so green bar is the long, red bar is the shorts. Green highlights are for winners, red highlights are for losers. All right, we'll do that from now on to try and make it easier to point out winners and losers. I'm only day trading right now because the volatility is really nice, man. But I'm finding day trading all right. It's been treating me quite well. It's been treating me quite well, to say the least. Let's see. Anything going on over here on X? Any cool research coming out? Let's go ahead and check out X. Oh. Yeah, I always hate that when that happens. There's my list. So world leaders, head of research in Squawk. German Chancellor Scholz with head of CDU SPD on response to U.S. tariffs. Oh, we're getting a response shortly. So we'll see how that turns out. Probably actually want to watch Euro on that front, because that could be really interesting. That just broke like 30 seconds ago. Yeah, German Chancellor Scholz negotiating with heads of CDU SPD on response to U.S. tariffs. All right, anything else? It's unfair of me to lash out at Howard Lutnick. I don't think he is pursuing his self-interests. Yeah, that was... I don't know if that's a decent apology or not. Besides Trump... Okay. Right. Oil prices are down. Interest rates are down. Yeah, let's check out that post. This is from the White House. So Trump says oil prices down. Interest rates are down. The slow-moving Fed should cut rates, says Trump. Food prices are down. There's no inflation. And the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariffs by 34% on top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, plus not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of good old USA. Our past quote-unquote leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again. All right. So that is Trump's policy right now. That's pretty much what exactly I expected, especially going over this stuff here. I mean, it's not like the writing was on literally the wall or anything. And again, there it is. It would be the perfect time for Powell to cut interest rates. He's already late. But he could now change his image and quickly... Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Powell does. But if the next couple of inflation prints actually come out low, it would be hard for Powell to... And unemployment doesn't shoot up to like 5 or 6%, it would be hard for Powell to argue against cutting, frankly. The thing is that Powell wants the Fed to at least have the appearance of being independent. They are quite independent. But by Trump making all these posts, if the Fed then cut, it makes it seem like Trump will be taking the credit for the rate cuts rather than the Fed acting independent. So we'll see what Powell decides to do, right? You don't want a scenario where Powell and the board at the FOMC hold out of spite for Trump to say the Fed is independent, we don't need a cut, and essentially TDS the FOMC board. But yeah, let's see here. There it goes. Fed would be much better off cutting rates as U.S. tariffs start to ease their way into the economy. Do the right thing, April 2nd. Yeah. Besant said Trump has stopped calling for rate cuts. And there he is once again. Yeah. So, honestly, if Trump brings in good policy for Fed cuts, let the Fed cut. Breaking, Chinese government has started conducting stock market stabilizing operations. Okay, they're going to intervene in their equities markets. Anything else here? What's that? Okay, China's responding to reciprocal tariffs. Ignore the noise. This is not the worst policy mistake in 100 years. Please, the fear perpetuated by the MSM and Wall Street is truly disappointing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. This is the people saying that this is going to lead to a recession. I don't see it. I don't see it. And the few people that I have been following for the last several years that I genuinely trust also think the exact same thing. And that's not a whole lot of people. Like, there's a lot of commentators that I listen to who say there's not going to be a recession, but I don't necessarily know their track record. And there's a lot of people who I like, and I listen to their commentary, who say there is going to be a recession. All this tariff stuff is going to be the end of U.S. dominance, right? The end of American exceptionalism. And I kind of, just like Mark Meldrum, but he said to, he had some interesting takes over the last year. Takes that didn't quite pan out as he expected. And don't get me wrong, the guy probably makes money, probably makes good money, right? Especially from his business. But as far as financial commentary, I've just been listening to Meldrum less and less over the last 12 months. Yeah, so far, Eurodollar is holding up well. Is there any other assets you guys want me to actually check out here? Because I can go ahead and bring up stuff. Or we can just chill out and hang out and go through my Squawk chat. Oh man, B of A research cuts S&P 500 year-end target to 5,600 from what the 6,666. JP Morgan cuts S&P 500 target to 5,200 from 6,500. Puts worst case at 4,000. Wow. Yeah. Value is probably going to do well in this sort of condition. Value is probably going to do okay. Then again, if the S&P did fall another 20% from here, like, these companies aren't going to disappear, guys. These companies are, they're not going to go away. And sure, there's all these tariffs going on with the US and China right now. And that might make things expensive temporarily until those tariffs get resolved. And who knows when they'll get resolved. And that would hurt growth for those companies. But is it permanent? Right? And considering everything was such... Yeah, the same people saying that there's going to be a recession were the same people saying, oh, the stock market has to correction because everything has such a high valuation right now. And now those valuations are being brought down because of these tariffs, right? And these demands of the United States to bring down non-tariff trade barriers for U.S. businesses entering foreign markets. You know, I just don't see it as the end of the world. Especially if you like the US military. Because the US military, if they got into a full-scale war with Russia or China, it's something like after 2 days, there's only a month or so, or 2 days, depending on what you're looking at, of supplies for different military operation activities. A month to 2 days, depending on what you're looking at. And a lot of the reason for that is simply because the US doesn't manufacture as much as it did during World War II. So bringing that stuff back to the United States will actually secure the integrity of the US military actually being able to engage in a real war, manufacturing this, which I think is really important for the security of the United States to actually be able to do its thing. And if that means, hey, essentially making it hard for these companies to do business unless they build their stuff in the United States, sorry, but you got to take care of the United States. You got to take care of the United States first. VIX went vertical. I bet. Oh, man. Whoa, that is a huge, huge gap up. Huge gap up on the VIX. Whoa, man. Whoa. Yeah. Oh, man, what awesome volatility. What awesome volatility. Dude, this is fantastic. This is great trading. Oh, man. What great trading, man. Dude. So much money is getting made right now by people who actually know how to trade volatility correctly. Just getting long the VIX into the tariff announcement and holding it over the weekend was like, bravo. Bravo. Oh my god. Got a bit of sniffles today. Yeah, man. The DAX, the German Equity Index, has puked out a lung. All these equity indices puked out a lung. Oh, wow. New Zealand is currently puking out a fat lung right now. The one that's down the most right now is here, the Euro 50, and the CAC, which is the France 40. Yeah, France got hit hard. France is not doing really well today. EU? You mean Eurodollar? What about it? Oh, very nice. Oh, and the yield spreads are turning neutral. Check that out. Yeah, so I was early on this, and that was just poor. And very good. Very good. Another good trade done live on stream. I don't think I did this one live. I think I exited this one live. But this, so far, don't get me wrong, like this isn't closed, right? But the open P&L on this already made up for this trade here. And partially for this one too, but I got profit from here and here, and these are effectively 2 paper cuts. That feels very good. That feels very good to catch that. And I would have had a better entry too if I didn't catch that damn spread. Every single sector is red. Oh, dude, that's right. I gotta put in US equity sectors here on my watch list, don't I? I gotta start watching US equity sectors. Isn't there an economic heat map? Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, sectors and industries. Let's check it out. Oh, do they not have a heat map for this? Wow, yeah, everything's red, red, red. The worst one is industrial services. I want to find heat map. Overview. Nope, that's not it either. Market stocks. Yeah. US stocks. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's the heat map. Why isn't the heat map there? So, yeah, they only show 10 sectors. Yeah, why no heat map for this? Wow. Energy minerals, electronic technology, so tech. Yeah, so tech is doing pretty bad. They've been doing the worst over the last quarter. So tech's been doing pretty horrid. Oh my god. Apple's going to 180 right now. Oh, man. So from here to here, Apple's down close to 30%, guys. Huh. YouTube's not receiving data, apparently. Nope, my internet's fine. It looks like everything's fine now with the internet. Man, buggy stream today, huh? But damn, Apple's down 30% so far. Oh, actually, if we go from here to the actual open, then it is actually 30%. I mean, it's 10 basis points off for 30%. What do you want? It's pretty much 30%. I use Koyfin for US sectors. Koyfin is good, man. Koyfin is good. I tried it out, but I don't trade enough equities. I mean, I have equity and equity positions, but dude, I want to go on a shopping spree. I want to go on a shopping spree. Apple's going to come out with the new iPhone. And even if it costs like $100, $200 more, you know, people are still going to buy the iPhone. It's still going to do pretty well, especially if they chuck it full with a bunch of really, really good features. I always had a theory. You know how Apple slowly rolls out a bunch of new features? They take a year to do this small feature and another year to do that small feature and another year to do like, oh, here's some like good marginal improvements and here's some performance upgrades. I had a little pet theory that for years when they were doing especially poor performance-wise in the equities markets, that the way that they would rebound is they'd go into their quiver and pull out some of those extra features and extra arrows and load them into the new iPhone and justify like, hey, we know it's about $100 to $200 more, but look at all these brand spanking new amazing features we're going to jam pack into this thing. It'll be worth it. And I really wonder if that theory's gonna be true this time around. We'll see how true that theory is come the next time Apple does like a major presentation of their product. Because if they come out and they say, oh man, look at all these amazing features and look, we got AI working for Siri, they're gonna have to push Siri out. Like, if Apple doesn't do well with doing the AI upgrade for Siri for like imminently, it could, you know, Apple could get hit a bit harder if Apple doesn't really release a killer iPhone with killer software on it in the next release. Apple could get hit so freaking hard, man. But again, my pet theory is they keep a bunch of extra features just like hidden around in like a vault somewhere, and they pull them out for this particular scenario to recover from this as best as they can. They say, hey guys, don't worry, we know all this stuff is going terribly, but look at all these extra cool features that we got. Let's check up on that Euro trade. Let's see here, 15-minute. Hey! Cool, it's making money. Nice. All's well. Oh, that was kind of cool. There was 6 people watching the stream. And now, for some reason, YouTube's saying that there's only 2 people watching. But then on another window I check, and it says there's 5 people watching. Which one is it, YouTube? Are you lying to me? Let me know if you're here in the chat. Because I'm getting weird numbers. How many people are actually here? So I know Ari's here. I know Harold's here. So that makes 2. I wonder if Trent showed up. Oh, that's right. I got my computer crashed, so I gotta reopen Discord again. Not here, yes. Yes, Ari. We know you are not here, indeed. Did I just open Discord? Where'd it go? I thought I just opened it. Oh, there we go. By the way, how are you guys liking the music? I know I've been playing this playlist for the last few streams. I've been thinking about... I mean, I got a couple other playlists here that I can load up. Let me go ahead and check it out. I'm still in here loud and clear. All right. Yeah, let me go ahead and pause the music. My YouTube says 3 watching. Yeah, and my dashboard says like 6, 7 people are watching. YouTube lies. It lies like a rug. All right, let's go ahead and put on a different... Yeah, that's nice. Sounds nice. Oh. Yeah, but it's like you guys can hardly hear that. Yeah, it seems like it's turning. It seems like it has turned at this point. Again, my main view that I've been posting in the trading group is these daily yield spreads are still quite positive. So I want to net if I want to hold something from one day to the next, I probably want to be long. And the keyword there is probably, right? So that means taking in other key information into account, right? Because yield spreads can still be positive as other negative things impact the euro. So yield spreads are only one factor in an analysis, which is why it's important to pay attention to what's going on in the world, right? Tap the screen, world leaders thread right here, heads of research thread right here, SWOC chat right here. Poland's official reserve assets. All right. Oh, Canadian consumer confidence fell. That's not good. Let's check out the Canadian. Ooh, yeah, that didn't do too hot. Huh. But the yield spreads are quite negative on that daily, huh? Oh, but you can see there on the 1 hour, the 30-minute, these yield spreads are on the more positive side. Is this worth taking a shot at? Because from what I understand, Canadian growth is supposed to be weaker than US growth at the moment. So I would expect the Canadian to continue weakening against the US dollar. Yeah, it's not worth it for me at the moment. I was about to just take a shot long at this, but I was like, looking at my other positions, I'm just like, I don't really want to manage this at the moment. I mean, I'll go ahead and I'll take a shot. I really should, so I'm not going to, do a double take here. So let's go ahead and plug this one in. Go ahead and apply defaults. And what did we get here? 1.42652. Yeah. All right, cool. Here we go, boys. Got another one going. Hey, check out those short-term yield spreads here on the 2 hour are also pretty good. Yeah, these yield spreads are probably flipping positive. But these daily yield spreads, I'm a bit more concerned about. Look how negative these are, right? So this could very well be like a very short trade, right? This could be a very shorter term trade. Let's actually see. Do we have anything on the yield spreads or the range probabilities that could help me out with setting a target here? How about the timing dots? No, not much on the dots. I mean, other than these literal 2 other occurrences. So maybe up here. So I'll set an alert at 14286. Which is just right here before you get into the peak of that distribution. So we'll call it like this. So I'll pay attention for the alert going up to there and hop out around here. I mean, I could just set the take profit up there. Chill. 14289 sounds good. Because I don't want to hold on to something like this with a super negative yield spread. But again, my expectation for dollar CAD is actually bullish. Because I don't expect the... So, let's go ahead and get Epic Pen. Because I have to do... I feel motivated right now to do an actual dollar smile thing here. And let me go ahead and get out the note for dollar smile. Bring that over there. That's a video. That's a video. That's Mizio. Man, one of my best friends, his brother worked at Mizio. Oh, wow, look. Nice profit there already. Cool. Good thing I didn't, double... I got better at that. It's like, oh, I'm not going to take the trade. I am going to take, like... I had a moment of clarity. I'm like, okay, stop that. Let's go ahead. Dollar smile. There we go. This is a great, great article. This is actually in the... This is here in the Plan the Profit Discord in the Forex channel. I think I have it pinned. This is a great, great read. But we just want this picture here. Simply put, dollar smile. The US dollar strengthens when markets are optimistic and you have strong US dollar growth, or US economic growth rather. And the US dollar strengthens when you have everyone trying to flee to safety and the entire world is having a downturn, a growth slowdown. We don't have growth slowdowns, especially in the EU, where they've been doing economic stimulus. Now, Canada, that's a bit different. Now, the US dollar weakens when the US struggles relative to other global peers. Now, by struggles, they mean US growth, inflation, employment, and the central bank's rate, FOMC's rate, are all have worse expectations than that of the rest of the G7, for example. Right? That's where the US dollar gets weaker, when you can find better growth opportunities, better investment opportunities, better sometimes carry opportunities and growth opportunities in other countries. That's when you get pretty good US dollar weakness. And the way Trump is moving these yields with the treasuries, like this whole thing here, this is going to make the US dollar a lot weaker because it's going to bring those yields down. And the spreads are going to be like, oh, wow, we can make a lot more money putting our cash over into these other countries. That will give us more bang for a buck on the carry side of stuff. And considering the increase in rate cuts coming, I mean, hell, if the stuff with China gets worked out, you could see Aussie and Kiwi rebound really, really strong. I mean, that's one of the things I want to keep my eye out on, is any news around China that conversations and negotiations have begun to improve with China, and maybe in the next week or so we'll begin to see an actual deal get done. Well, guess what? Same thing with every single tariff announcement that I did before, how I traded those. I'm just going to get along with the Aussie and the Kiwi on the break of those announcements, because at that point, expectations will improve. Now, unless that deal then started to fall apart, then that would be pretty bad, right? But at that point, it'd be trade the rumor. Like, oh, negotiations are likely to start, or negotiations were just announced and they're going to start discussing things. And at that point, you also have to be really snappy on, negotiate on rumors that, negotiations might be breaking down. Negotiations are going to get delayed, right? You got to be real careful on that. You've been sleeping? How late is it right now for you? Because I know you try and make these streams every day, Ari, but yeah. Heyo. Well, Academy, nice to see you again. Thanks for hopping in, my man. So yeah, on the dollar smile stuff. This is a great article. This is the article that I recommend people read when it comes to dollar smile stuff. And to actually learn this one concept is so critical in actually understanding how to trade the US dollar. So critical. Oh, we got a bit of a pullback on the euro. Those yields looking pretty negative. Uh-oh. Yeah, we'll see how it does. So far, not so bad. Let's check out on that USD CAD. Yeah, you can maybe say that this is kind of a hedge, but we're more or less just trading that bit of economic news that printed here. Let's see, anything else coming out? Russia has started transferring North Korean long-range artillery systems to annexed Crimea. German broadcaster ZDF reported. Wow. Okay. Escalations in Ukraine. Let's see here. Poilievre, the conservative running for government in Canada, posted something. Gates posted something. What's this? Something oil related there. Anything else going in politics land? It's just it's Doug Ford saying tariffs are causing economic uncertainty in Canada. Spoke with European Ursula von der Leyen. Let's see what she has to say. Spoke to European steel and metal industry leaders to get their perspective on the impact of US tariffs. This is helping us shape the effective EU response. We remain in close contact to ensure that our interests are well protected. This is the full statement, apparently. Okay. Participants expressed concern on the diminishing volumes of scrap used for recycling in the EU, really recycling, and asked for effective measures to keep sufficient volumes in the EU. Scrap. Participants raised strong concerns about the broader ramifications of U.S. tariffs, including the impact on derivatives and the serious risk of trade diversion. They underlined the urgent need for EU to propose new trade defense measures for steel beyond existing safeguards, which are due to expire in June 2026, including to address potential deflection of exports from other major steel producing countries into the EU market. Okay. So we'll see how well that turns out. I just got off work yesterday, resting here for a few days, I reckon. Oh, dude, that's great. That's great. Whoa, we got a lot of prints here. Fitch's downgrade of China's rating is biased. Whoa. Spirit Airlines CEO steps down. Ooh. Yeah, let's check that out. Spirit. Spirit Airlines? Yeah, there we go. Spirit Airlines. I think that's Aerosystem Holdings. Don't know the ticker. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and S&P Global all raised their forecasts for the likelihood of a global downturn. Which, if that actually is the case, the US dollar might get stronger. Again, looking at dollar smile stuff. Indian rupee fell against the dollar. U.S. Court of Appeals reinstates agency head fired by Trump for now. Excuse me. Oh, Warren Pies posted something. Fed pressure. Trump is putting pressure on Jay Powell to cut. And so is the SOFR market. December SOFR pricing close to 4.5 cuts now versus 2 at March. If Trump persists with the current tariff rates, expecting this divergence to get worse, similar to last year's growth scare. So it seems like Warren is also in line with growth scare. The growth scare idea. That's another term for my expectation as well. Looks like Euro's holding up fine. Canadian dollars, A-okay here. Oh, wow. We're probably about to hit that alert. We're probably about to hit that alert there on the Canadian. Man, I should have put more on. That Canadian did pretty well. Doing pretty well, that Canadian. And I think we're about to hit that alert. I mean, the spread, the bid-ask already hit the alert effectively. So we'll see. There we go. Bum, bum. Alert's been hit. Okay. These yield spreads are still quite positive. And let's close this one out. 26 pips. They'll probably go up a bit more, but for the day, I am happy with that. I am chilling. That's good for the day in my book. Again, yield spreads are nicely flipping more positive. They're more neutral here. Maybe we'll get a pullback sometime tomorrow. Maybe in the next few hours. We'll see. Set up for another push higher later in the week on the dollar cap. Now we just need this euro to perform. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's in the green, but it needs to go more in the green. Like back up to here. All right. All's well. Let's check out. Yeah, man. Apple trading at 180 is nuts. Nuts. What a fantastic discount, man. Trading all the way back to May 2024 levels. Wow, dude, look at all this old TA. Yikes. And how's Coinbase holding up? Yeah, Coinbase is opening up below yesterday's low. Oh, man. Coinbase not doing great pre-market. I want to check out the commodities side of things again. Gold seems to be holding up, and oil seems to be doing all right. Go check out the research. Refresh the tab, see if anything new is at the wire. Actually, real quick, I'm going to bring up, come on, Financial Juice. And let's turn on the squawk here for Financial Juice. So if you hear someone speaking, it's our friends over at Financial Juice. Pretty sure I want to turn this guy down a little bit. Oh yeah, and this is another column research analyst. This other one has a lot more people in it. Bill Ackman says, it was unfair for me to lash out at Howard Lutnick, right? New video from that guy. Eric Bassamajian. Bonds need actual job losses to move from here, not just the threat of anticipated job losses. I actually agree with what Bassamajian said there. All right. And Korea just impeached their president, apparently. The no BG cam looks clean. Oh, yeah. Hello, RS. Yeah. Green screen. Got the green screen set up. It looks very, very clean. It looks very, very clean. Because now you can actually see some of the things behind me. Bloomberg. Oh, wow. Financial Summit. 127 people in here. Jong-il. Talking about North Korea. I enjoy Tone's commentary. He's just covering some crypto stuff. So, Bloomberg. VIX is now at its highest level since March 2020. Whoa. All right. We'll see how those negotiations fare. I wonder if there's a way I can pull that up. Yeah, Fox doesn't have a live stream going on YouTube. Oh, 8:40. Okay, so that means in 15 minutes. And Navarro, what is his position again? Navarro. Yeah, Peter Navarro. He is the senior counselor for trade and manufacturing for Trump. A lot of people have been dissing Navarro recently. A lot of people have been dissing Navarro recently. Oh. Looks like that euro ain't doing so hot right now. Yeah. All right, that's not looking so hot. Yeah, let's go ahead and hop out of this thing just in case. How do I do break evens? Because that's like pos 1 pip, right? I guess I'll just leave the thing as is. Okay. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but you know, we'll see how it develops going forward here. The yield spreads look so good. They developed so well 30 minutes ago and got smacked back down. How are the yield spreads here on the daily doing? Yeah, they're still hanging around 2.6. Kind of fluctuating around 2.6 at the moment, so nothing crazy. Nothing crazy at the moment. We'll give this a little bit more time, maybe until US market open. All right, sounds hopeful. Everyone is talking this. So 10-year yields are now. Yeah, this is why we have the squawk on. Check out how that CAD is doing. Yeah, that was the right move. That was the right move on the CAD. We got out at a excellent price, I think. Go ahead and set that one as a winner. And also we want to style that with big fat green line there. Yeah. Oh, what happened to the drawing? There we go. Go to the 1 hour. Huh. About now. It's showing up now. Let's extend it a bit forward. Yeah, that was good. We got out right where we wanted to. Nice catch. And also a nice save there on the Euro side of things. Yeah, these yield spreads are continuing to look pretty bad here. I don't want to flip short at the moment because, again, these daily yield spreads are still quite positive. I don't want to hop back in long until these short-term yield spreads start to look a bit more constructive. Yeah, apparently today is Black Monday, right? Oh wow. Yeah, from here, it's closer to 2% from yesterday's close. NASDAQ doing a bit better at the moment. Same thing with Apple. All right. And a lot of posts coming through, especially on the stuff with Hassett. Oh, is that? All right, CNBC. Let me see if I can get that on. Okay. We have CNBC here. So we can go ahead and watch CNBC and see if Navarro will be on that stream. So that's in about 6 minutes from now. We'll turn Financial Juice back on. German DAX was down more than 8%. Now it's just 3.9% right there. Kremlin calls situation on global oil market extremely unstable. All right. Anything else coming down the wire here? Couple of things. Nothing nutty. Nothing crazy. Oh, looks like Euro's doing A-okay again. You will. All right, let's go ahead and wait for that link to show up. Review and determination by the board of the advance and discount rates to be changed the Federal Reserve banks. Final announcement will be set forth. Okay. So I might need to hop back into this euro based on that alone. Yeah. So this essentially means that the Fed could be meeting to effectively discuss cutting rates sooner. That's my speculation. So I want to be careful on that, because when that gets announced, it's yeah, that can be pretty major. Don't want to miss out on announcements of a Fed cut or of the Fed turning much more explicitly dovish. Who knows? Growth is going to slow down and we want to support the economy and we don't want unemployment to rise. There could be any number of reasons. So we'll see what comes out of this particular meeting here. Let's see here. Beware of claims of an emergency Fed meeting. All right, let's see here. It's making the rounds on X that the Fed is holding an emergency meeting to potentially discuss a rate cut. Unfortunately, it's just a regular meeting. All right. It's making the rounds on X. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Forex Live. See, this is why we have the X Squawk. This is why we have the Pro X setup with filtered lists of people, so we can get curated information as quickly as possible. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, it never fails. This regularly scheduled meeting is confused by ill-informed people. All right. It happens all the time, and only when markets are down. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I haven't had experience to something like this before, so. It was scheduled on 4/3. And they have these somewhat impromptu meetings multiple times a month. All right. Fire butts. Yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, definitely was wrong there. Saw it on the Squawk and I'm like, oh. Yeah, I didn't know. But now I know. See, that's why you have these things set up, so then you can learn as quickly as possible. Federal Reserve has called for a closed-door board meeting for today. It's not breaking. Pippa, she's a much smarter geopolitical analyst that I follow. So the fact she's reposting it is kind of interesting. Maybe she's in that same category as I was about, what, a minute ago? At least now I know. At least people like this are on X and are able to repost and say, like, hey, this is kind of a dumb thing to think that this is going to be an emergency rate cut. See how quickly expectations change when you have access to good information? Alrighty. Yeah, and now everyone is posting about it. The Fed does this all the time. All right. We got another politician talking about Trump. Oh, hold on a second. It seems like there we go.
The president time, as you quoted what he had put up this morning.
I didn't know that the audio wasn't working for the browser.
We're seeing a decrease in oil prices. We're seeing food prices come down. Here in Congress, we are looking at spending cuts.
That's a bit disappointing.
Get spending under control. We're looking at getting rid of a lot of regulations out there. All of that is part of this package. So when we wait for the president's tariffs to be able to have an impact on the unfair trade practices that we have seen against ag producers, against manufacturing here in America, we want to make sure that we're going to be addressing that. Right now, for example, ethanol. Nebraska is an ethanol state. Yep. We are the second largest producer. When we talk about ethanol, ethanol from Brazil comes in with no tariff right now, none. They pay zero. But yet when we export ethanol to Brazil, 18%. Those kinds of actions by other countries
that's a big deal.
Stop. Those are prohibitive for exports. We had an administration under Joe Biden that did nothing. They had no...
All right, we get that. And then more people talking about Trump's post that we already covered earlier. Should probably put the drawing in.
Navarro says any discussion of recession seems silly. So Navarro currently speaking on CNBC.
2018 or the COVID period or something before that.
You've seen
Navarro saying stock markets will recover.
Now, for a minute, if we just...
Oh, okay. That's not Navarro.
Navarro says market is trying to find its bottom.
Yeah.
Navarro just adding, any
Not
talks
here.
of recession seem silly given expected tax cuts.
All right. Let's see if I can find the CNBC stream still. We're just going to be getting info here from the Squawk.
Navarro says, when you ask whether Trump is willing to negotiate, the president is always willing to listen. Adding the methodology for tariff calculations was sound.
Yeah, everyone on the Squawk's now talking about Navarro.
Navarro in Vietnam says major concern is trans-shipping from China, dumping of seafood and other goods.
All right. Heyo, Max. Oh, Ursula's speaking live.
Navarro says nations seeking tariff relief need to lower non-tariff barriers.
No, come to our corner.
Oh, bad stream. Yeah, it's not working.
Navarro is saying we want fairness from trading partners.
If we assume Navarro has Trump's ear on this, suggests that the, quote, off-ramps for countries to get tariffs removed are going to be very difficult to achieve. It's not just a case of removing tariffs that might be in place. Yeah, we already know that. We already know this, that they're not just going after tariffs. They want U.S. companies to be able to access foreign markets.
Yves von der Leyen says US tariffs hit developing nations hard. So von der Leyen currently speaking in Brussels. We'll see if we can try and find a video of her. We'll put it out if we do find one.
Well, I mean, the video is here, but the broadcast is
Von der Leyen saying that
super
we are
choppy.
ready to negotiate with the US on tariffs.
Yeah, what a crap stream.
Just keep an eye on the S&P 500, seeing a bit of movement towards the upside here. The euro, a little bit of strengthening as well, a little bit so far. Navarro says tariffs will play for the biggest tax cut in American history. So again, Navarro.
It was a
Navarro
good
saying
decision to
tariffs will
hop
pay
back
for
in.
The biggest tax cut in American history. Von der Leyen saying that we are ready for good deal, but ready to take countermeasures. And von der Leyen saying that we will set up import surveillance task force.
All right. Ooh, all right. Can you do this? Can you do this? Man, I need a better chair here so then I can pull off that meme right.
Von der Leyen saying that we will strengthen single market in response to US tariffs.
Let's see here. The daily yield spreads back above
Navarro says
2.6.
Trump is seeking cuts to tariffs.
Oh.
and non-tariff barriers.
Not good. How about the... that's
Von der
still looking
Leyen
pretty
saying that
bad.
we will focus on 83% of trade not with the US.
We'll see how this holds up.
Navarro says trade partners zeroing tariffs is the first start. We have posted out the video, live feed of von der Leyen currently speaking live.
Thank you.
By the US, announced by the US, where we need to understand and decode exactly where they are heading. And
Navarro says the market will find a bottom.
Belong to the same European internal market. Last year we celebrated 30 years of the EEA agreement. For Norway, Europe is by far our most important trading partner. 70% of our export goes to this internal market. And we will do everything to contribute to the integrity of the internal market and follow you carefully as you respond to this unpredictable environment created by the tariffs. And we will stay, as we have agreed, very much in touch so that we can avoid disturbances and turbulence amongst ourselves, because Norway is an important provider of goods and services and energy to Europe, and we would like to maintain in that way. That is a mutual benefit. So thank you for confirming this and agreeing to have the structures in place to really monitor the effects of this unpredictable situation created
Germany's
by the US
10-year Bund yield raises fall. Last flat at about 2.61% after EU's von der Leyen says we're ready to negotiate with the US on tariffs.
Norwegian crowns.
All right.
To this ambition of securing enough artillery ammunition for Ukraine's self-defense.
Long-dated UK bonds drop, 30-year yield rising 10 basis points to about 5.22%. Also, just a bit of color with Navarro talking about Vietnam. Said Vietnam's 0% tariff offer is not enough. It's the non-tariff cheating that matters.
Cooperation that is emerging. Norway has leading companies for historic reasons and for some fine technological reasons. And these companies will be, part of the effort to strengthen Europe's self-reliance on defense in the coming months and years. And also as we head to the next NATO summit in The Hague. We took also stock of other progress that we are making in our cooperation on secure connectivity, on health cooperation, and in other areas where the European Union and Norway have a good and established dialogue. And I really appreciate, Madam President, that you take care and are attentive and so knowledgeable of this relationship. That is a good sign for us, and we really share your ambition of having a
China stimulus
European approach to this quite unstable world as we face it today.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. We can take a couple of questions.
I mean, panic or not, what has been the response so far?
Yeah, I think analysts generally disagree that China panicked. I think so far what I've read from strategists is that China had been very targeted and very measured in that response. Yes, they
That'd be good for the Australian dollar.
Earlier than usual. They didn't wait until April 9th when the tariffs kicked in to respond.
Aussie's doing
and
well.
they responded proportionally, right? 34% on US goods as well as
So yeah, the Kiwi and the Aussie, and especially the Aussie's doing pretty well.
What are the historical imports that we have and had? And is there any specific surge all of a sudden of a certain product or in a certain sector that we have to act on? And then, of course, we are in close cooperation with Norway. We exchange.
We'll get the rest of our updates from that speech here on Financial Juice. There's 10-year yields at the
Also
high
just
of the
keeping an eye
day.
on WTI crude oil, seeing a movement towards the upside as well.
Oh, crude is going up. Let's check it out.
Navarro says the bigger problem is the non-tariff
Wow.
cheating. So just in regards to WTI crude oil, it did move towards the upside after you had von der Leyen saying that we are ready to negotiate with the US on tariffs. Von der Leyen just saying we are open for negotiations on tariffs, but we are ready to prepare for retaliation. So just repeating something what she just said earlier.
All right. How is that impacting the euro? Not so hot. It's pulling back a little bit. And considering
Navarro says Elon Musk is a car assembler and parts come from other nations.
Okay. Yeah, US yields doing quite well. Same thing with European yields, but not moving as much. Both have moved quite well today so far, though. How's DXY holding up? It's holding up bar.
Navarro says we want auto parts made in the US.
Okay. Breaking, there are some Wall Street traders, not a lot but a few, who believe Trump is poised to cut a deal with China pretty quickly. Their logic: Chinese economy is, if the reports are accurate, weak to crashing. It's resorting increasingly to currency manipulation to weaken the yuan in order to keep its massive trade surplus. It needs access to US markets. Meanwhile, Trump wants BlackRock to buy CK Hutchinson, and he really wants the US to control TikTok. As I have reported, both were throttled by the trade mess, and both need approval from President Xi. Trump also wants access to China in a more advantageous way for US companies. Progress on the China front.
Effective Fed funds rate unchanged at 4.33% April 4th.
All right. Progress on the China front, and you get a 5% rally in markets, they believe. For the record, stuff like this is always easier said than done, but I'm a simple country reporter, story developing.
Treasuries erase remaining declines, yields higher on the day.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah, citing
Navarro
uninformed
says that
traders
you
on
need
China
to drop
policy.
non-tariff barriers, including value-added tax.
Yeah, China Beige Book is a pretty good research firm on Chinese geopolitics and economics. At least from my experience.
WTO says Canada initiates WTO dispute regarding US duties on automobiles and auto parts.
Did the Brave audio kick out again?
Shiba conducted a phone call with Trump. So Shiba now saying that I conducted a phone call with Trump.
Yep, everything's good.
Currently speaking in Tokyo at the moment.
Navarro says the U.S. needs drop its 19. No, the EU needs to drop its 19% vax tax for a deal. The EU needs to drop non-tariff barriers,
Shiba
including
told
value-added tax.
Trump tariffs would cut Japan investment capacity. And Ishiba says that I told Trump that Japan has made the biggest investment in the US for 5 straight years.
All right, let's go ahead and check out the yens, see how that's moving things.
Shiba says that we agreed to continue negotiations with the US. Trump just on his Truth Social just commenting here, saying that the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak, don't be stupid, don't be a panican, a new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result.
All right. Euro's not holding up too well right now.
Shiba says that we will continue to push US to review tariff policies.
All right. Check out Euro Yen then. It's doing so far so good. Back to yesterday's close after gapping down lower.
So again, treasuries are raising gains, yields higher on the day.
Aussie's doing pretty well, all things considered. It was a pretty good day for the Australian dollar as far as a bounce for what it's worth.
Shiva says that we decided each side will name point minister for discussions.
All right. Did the markets open? No, not yet.
Ishiba says that I am considering visiting the US at an appropriate time to have direct discussions with Trump. This is something that he did say over the weekend as well, so just reiterating it here.
That is something Ishiba has said. Yep.
Yeah, it is also something he did mention this morning as well.
A lot of world leaders coming out to speak this morning. All talking about Trump and the tariffs. Yeah, you can see after it hits the wire here on Financial Juice, it shows up here on the X squawk. Airbus delivered 71 jets in March. All right, some of the pre-market trades for popular stocks. Nvidia traded $83. Oh yeah, they're just pointing out the lows, pre-market lows. 65 for Meta. Wow, that's pretty low. Oh yeah, let's check out Tesla. Let's check out the Tesla. Yeesh. Wow, Tesla is opening up down here, back at the lows made way back at the beginning of March. Wow. Big fall off there. Let's see. Anything else? More people posting about this closed board meeting. We already came to the conclusion that the Fed's not going to have some kind of emergency rate cut meeting going on. That's not the case. This is a pre-planned meeting that was set up April 3rd, way ahead of time. And also, it's not a new ask, Christopher. This tariff thing is not a new ask. This is something people around Trump and Trump himself have already been saying for the last several days, going way like the last 2 weeks. Probably time to hop out of this euro again, sadly. Probably do all right, but we'll see how things develop. Okay. A lot of stuff out of the Bank of Israel today. Oh, Ishiba held a video meeting with Trump. Wants to meet to have direct talks with Trump. Agreed with Trump to appoint ministers in charge of discussions. Okay. Ishiba needs to have good relationship with Trump, because otherwise he could be in for a lot of political instability. It's kind of he's fighting for his party's survival right now over there in Japan. So if Shiba doesn't bring home the bacon, so to speak, with Trump, it could cost Ishiba the election in Japan. And again, in July, we have the Japanese House of Councilors election, where half of effectively the Senate in Japan.
Crypto stocks fall pre-market as Bitcoin slides amid broad market sell-off.
Let's go check out Bitcoin. The House of Councilors is effectively the Japanese Senate, and half of them are going up for election. And Bitcoin seems to be doing A-okay. Equities took another bit of a hit here. Trump says we're on track to fully eliminate capital gains tax. Whoa. Well, as a trader, I would be very, very, very happy because I'm already in Nevada where there's no capital gains tax. So if I have to do zero federal capital gains tax, then man, I'd be sitting real pretty. And I'd love to see that. Let's see here. What is this guy referring to? What? Yuck. What a disgusting. Ooh. So someone is suspending trading. Suspends trading. All right. No crazy updates at the moment. Let's go ahead and check out the equity markets.
Treasury 30-year yield rising 10 basis points on the day to about 4.51%.
Holding in there. Equity markets holding in there. So far, so good. Except for New Zealand and Australia, these seems to be laggards on the equity side. Palestinian journalist was killed and 9 others were wounded, some critically when an Israeli airstrike hit a tent used by local media in southern Gaza, medics and local journalists unions said. Not the first time that's happened. Even just in Israel-Gaza. In that conflict, not war. Not the first time that's happened. God, that thing's got to end sooner rather than later. I will laugh my ass off if stocks end the day flat, Michael. Whoa. 750k followers. Damn. Italy's foreign minister suggests EU could postpone initial counter tariffs against the US to April 30th from April 15th. And apparently that EU headline has moved markets 1% in the last few hours. Which markets? Didn't Lynn Ursula here already post this message? Getting deja vu here. Eurostoxx 50 VIX, the V2X is surging over 50% as of writing. Let's check that out. I don't think that's what we're supposed to be looking for. So far, so good. Oh, what's that? Great work by the EU. Next, please repeal Anti-AI Act. Makes it impossible to start or run an AI company in the European Union. Digital Services Act, used for censorship and cookie banners. Makes us a joke worldwide. Yeah, man. That'll be good for businesses in the European Union for sure. I don't have too much to say on AI stuff in the EU. EU has offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods with the United States, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners. This offer was made during recent talks with the US. Okay. Countries are coming to the table for learning. Yeah, so far, so good.
UK 10-year gilt yields rising 2 days high of about 4.522%, up 7 basis points from the day, and from earlier low of about 4.379%.
Trump can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. I think that's actually a pretty good take on the original quote. That markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. That's a pretty good one. I'm going to put that in my general chat. The beatings will continue until morale collapses. Let's check up on the equities. Slightly worse position. Not terrible. UK is doing all right. The FTSE. DAX hanging in there. Ooh. Yeah, New Zealand. Well, New Zealand actually isn't trading right now, I think. Oh. Maybe it's time to hop out of this now. Right? Like, what, 3 pips? Here, let's go ahead. That one was 1. This one was 3. We'll keep an eye on these things going forward. See if we get another decent setup here. That looks pretty bad on the New Zealand still. And the daily looks good. Are we at 2 point? Oh wow, we're at 2.2 now on the yield spreads. That's not good. That's still declining. That was a smart move to hop out then. Better take a 3 pip loss than a 30 pip loss. This one on the track? Oh no, we're in the shuffle stuff. Yeah, we'll go ahead and load this one up. Yeah, the fact these yield spreads, oh, they improved a tad there. Might be doing some choppy stuff here. I'm gonna give this a bit more time here. Yeah. Let's give this another 30 minutes or so. But by that point, stream will probably be done. Because I'm not hearing anything new come down the squawk. Oh, let's check this out.
FT writing, we are lowering our year-end 25 price target to 55.50 from 6,200, essentially making our old bear case our new base case. Laurie joins us now for more. And Laurie, I have to say, that old bear case, which is the new base case, is sounding like the bull case based on the moves we've seen over the past few days. How are you reflecting on things over the weekend?
It's a great question, John. I was actually talking to my energy trader, and the days are all bleeding together at this point. I think it was on Friday. And, you know, we sort of discussed how we went from stagflation in terms of people's thinking to recession in about 2 seconds. And I've never seen anything like it, where you've just seen the mentality shift so much, so quickly. But I will caution you, that is what happens in growth scares. And that is what we are smack dab in the middle of. The 17.4% drawdown that we saw as of Friday was exactly in line with the average drawdown that we saw in 2010, 2011, 2015, 16, and 2018. Of course, that 2018 went all the way down 20%, which would take us to around 4,900 on the S&P this time around. I think just a touch under.
Trump says
and so this is what it
nations
feels
from
like.
all over the world are talking to us. It's seeing his Truth Social here, saying nations from all over the world are talking to us. Tough but fair parameters are being set. Spoke to Japanese Prime Minister Shiba this morning. He's sending a top team to negotiate. They have treated the US very poorly on trade. They don't take our cars, but we will take millions of theirs. Adding likewise agriculture and many other things. It all has to change, but especially with China.
Yeah, there's the post. He is sending a top team to negotiate.
You know, we have this tiers of fear framework we've talked about to help us navigate. We're in tier 2. Tier 1 is the garden variety pullback. Tier 2 is the growth scare. Tier 3 is recession. And so we have increasingly been talking to people. If we break through that 20% number.
Barclays, Yardeni, UBS, Goldman, Evercore, RBC.
1 minute to the market on open imbalance data.
Everyone revising their year-end targets lower.
What does recession look like? If you look at the average and the median drawdown, it's about 27 and 32%. It's taking it to 4,200, 4,500 on the S&P. We could do that. It's not unreasonable to be thinking about that.
Laurie, we know how to price growth scares. We're okay at that. We're fairly decent at knowing what a recession might look like, though we haven't seen many over the last 20 years. That's a shock to the cycle. The issue that we've been trying to get our hands around is how to price a shock to the system. Because if these are the new rules of the game, this is a change we haven't seen for decades, Laurie. How different is that?
So I think it's a great question, John. And as I've been, you know, talking to investors over the past month, and we were talking about how that tier 2 fear was rising. One of the thoughts that occurred to me, and I didn't like to say this out loud all that often, but it had felt a bit to me like this was January of 2020, where there was something coming that we didn't quite know what it was.
S&P 500, sell side 1.7 billion, NASDAQ 100, sell side 62.5 million, Dow 30, sell side 350 million, and Mag 7 sell side 17 million.
All right, markets have opened. Wow, it's open at 177.
US stocks extend full. S&P 500 down about 3.36%, and Dow Jones down about 3.11%. S&P 500 set to enter bear market after falling 20% from record.
Well, I know what it pulled
and
that chart
Nasdaq
up.
down about 4.01%.
Yeesh. That was the high of December 2021. Wow. All right, let's see how equities play out here. So when you say 3.2% on the day, is that up or down?
Just to reiterate, so Trump did say earlier he spoke with the Shiban that talks are to begin on tariffs. Seeing
In the
Tesla
third
shares down after Wedbush Securities cuts target price to $315 from $550.
in terms of the drawdown from peak. And I know it doesn't make us all feel happy for me to say that out loud right now, but it does give me a little bit of comfort. If you really want to talk about big crises, we don't have a big sample size on those. We've got things like the tech bubble, we've got
Golden
things like
Dragon
the
China Index extends 3-day slump to 15%.
Yeah, China getting hit hard.
Also seeing Apple shares down 6% after Wedbush cuts target price to $250 from $325.
Oof. So now they're, what is that, the end of year expectation?
The shares of US-based farm and construction equipment makers fall after China's retaliatory tariffs.
See, the lower 10-year yield of government refinance argument is silly, not only because there are trillions of US treasuries to refi every year. It's a trade policy simple as that. One that Trump has preached for decades. Don't try to squeeze it into some different framework you prefer.
Philadelphia
I'd be more open to
Semiconductor
that.
Index's 3-day sell-off tops 20%.
I'd be more open to that if there's a more kind of detailed analysis or a thread breaking down that train of thought here. And this is why we wait. This is why we wait. Russell 2000's 11th bear market since 1988, minus 28%. Senator Langford, it's very interesting over the weekend that POTUS immediately announced we got 50 countries that want to engage. Many
Reeves
countries
tells UK automakers that we have your back.
Many countries are coming quickly to say, let's resolve our long-standing differences where we've ripped off the U.S. for years.
It was very interesting over the weekend that the president immediately announced we've got 50 countries that want to engage. He obviously called out specifically Vietnam and said they are coming to the table.
Dow
Today,
Jones
Benjamin
Industrial
Netanyahu,
Index down 3.4%.
who is meeting in the White House with the president to be able to talk about the tariff issues with Israel, because Israel has had high tariffs on us and getting those balanced out. So there's a lot of work to be done, and it can be done very rapidly.
Very
and we
good
don't
to
have
hear,
to have
Ari.
a major long-term shock. This is an initial shock that is occurring right now. Let's see how the negotiations go around the world, because many countries are coming quickly to say, let's resolve our longstanding differences where we have ripped off the United States for years. Now that train has ended. And so now it's time to be able to figure out how do we actually have good, balanced trade with nations around the world. It was very interesting over.
UK will feel overall effects of tariffs elsewhere, says Reeves. Right, so we're getting some UK comments now. Go ahead and check out the pound. Pound is not doing so hot. The pound isn't doing so hot right now. Let's see here. Yeah, this is already old news. We already got that information. That 0 for 0 tariffs, quote unquote.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal. So we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests.
All right. This is why we have a world leaders list. All right. Matt Gates says, drop your tariffs, buy our goods, pay for your defense. In response to Ursula there. That's what the market looks like at open today. That's the heat map. Everything's red across the board. Let's see here. I've been looking at the UK listed equities and find the biggest losses are among the US and international focused FTSE 100 large caps. The FTSE 250 UK focused mid caps are down, but not as much. Yeah, that does make sense because there's just more risk around the tariff uncertainty with those larger companies that have the international exposure. But that makes sense. That's a good breakdown there, Harold. Nice chill day, huh? For a Black Monday, it's pretty chill. Unless you were holding equities over the weekend. I mean, even for these euro trades, I closed my trades over the weekend, my longs, which was a really, really good call because we gapped lower here across the board. Does look like these yield spreads are improving again. How are things looking like on the hour? Here, let's go back a few bars. Yeah, it's taking a while to load. Wonder why it's taking so long for the yield spreads to load all of a sudden. Maybe TradingView is getting overloaded right now because a lot of people are checking out the charts. This is usually what happens when TradingView gets a surge of activity. The indicators take longer to load. There we go. Yeah, that is a slight improvement, I will say. We'll see how things continue developing, but net, those are still pretty bad short term. And on the day, are we at 2.2 still? Yeah, Trading View is loaded. Whoa, we're at 1.6 now. Whoa. Yeah. Less reason to be long. Way less reason to be long. We'll see how things move into end day, but that's not so hot. Who knows? Maybe things pick up tomorrow, but that's going to be heavily, heavily dependent on the news we get for tomorrow. Go ahead. Turn Financial Juice back on here. UK Prime Minister Starmer on tariffs. To car makers, we're going to back you to the hilt. This is a moment for urgency. Tariffs are a huge challenge for our future.
In response to steel and aluminium tariffs, after carefully reviewing options, we will send a final list and tariff levels to member states today. UK's PM Starmer saying the UK government will not just sit back and hope. Starmer says that we will rewire the state completely.
Yep. We're hopping in on the short side here. I don't like how those daily yield spreads are moving. They just keep going negative.
We'll seek the best deal with the US. Also, we'll work with key partners to reduce barriers to trade across the globe.
I'm not crazy. That said 1.6 earlier, right? Oh, maybe that was in replay mode. But yeah, these yield spreads are still not great. But with that in mind, I thought it went to 1.6, so that was a misread on my part, so I'm just going to hop out of that.
Toronto Stock Exchange extends decline down 4.1%.
That's like a 0.5 pip profit, so I'm not going to bother keeping that on the chart. But we are now, we went from 2.2 back to 2.6. We're now at 2.8. Okay.
Hungary opposes EU counter tariffs against the US. That's Sajato speaking from Hungary.
Yeah, man. This is where having some patience can really pay off.
Morgan Stanley telling clients to boost shorts on emerging market currencies.
Whoa. It's like dollar might just end up going higher here. We'll see.
Bank of England says APF gilt sale operation cover ratio 1.6, 1.6, and sells 750 million pounds of bonds in auction, receiving 1.2 billion pounds in bids.
Alrighty. I've probably got to wait another 30 minutes to 2 hours for another trade setup if I actually wanted to take one today. Or for some news to hit the wire that's interesting, and instead of waiting it out, I'm going to go ahead and do it on my own time. I'll go ahead and say thank you guys for watching this more engaging. I don't know how terribly engaging it was. I didn't talk too much. We did a few trades. It was pretty lackluster, right? Couple of spots where I definitely could have done better, but these were great, man. Net, it was a really good day for me. All right, that all said, I'll go ahead and see you guys in a bit.